Today's episode of Tailoring Talk is brought to you in association with Capsule CRM, the smart, simple online CRM that helps you build stronger customer relationships, make more sales, and save time. If you're in business, check out Capsule's amazing suite of features that help you nurture client relationships, win more sales, and see the big picture. You can sign up to a free 30-day trial of Capsule CRM, no credit card required, using the link in the show notes. Thank you to Capsule for being a partner of Tailoring Talk and empowering Roberto Revilla London. Welcome to episode 40 of the Tailoring Talk show with me, your host, Roberto Revilla. I'm a bespoke tailor, menswear designer, and owner of Roberto Revilla London Suit and Shirt Makers. This is the podcast where you drop in for the threads, but often leave with something quite unexpected. I talk to self-starters and creators about their journeys, the highs and lows, and lessons they've learned along the way. If you haven't already, please support the show by subscribing. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please help me out by leaving a rating and a review. Today, I'm joined by a fellow Founders Club member and entrepreneur. Having been in business since he was 21, he built a few and then successfully sold 3 of them. He's a keen property and business investor who loves helping businesses achieve their goals. He co-founded the digital marketing agency Metric Connect in 2019, having had success with one of his previous businesses in the areas of social and digital marketing. He also hosts and produces the brilliant Social Connection podcast, and in his spare time he plays football, cricket and badminton. He's father to 2 children, husband to Christina, and he has just come to the fact that they are the people who actually run the show. Tailoring Talkers, please join me in welcoming Atish Parmar to the show. Atish, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for that lovely intro. I think I might just keep putting that on repeat for a bit. Sounds good.
When I send you the MP3 afterwards, you can chop it up and do whatever you want with it. But yeah, no problem at all. I do try and make an effort with those, and hopefully I didn't get anything wrong there.
No, perfectly correct. Thank you.
Brilliant. So thank you so much for joining me. So we met a few weeks ago because we're both members of Founders Club, this wonderful world that we now inhabit. Yep. You're based up in Leicester, so you don't get to go to as many events, do you?
No, but the good thing is we're actually located in the south of Leicester, so Market Harbour is where our office is. And it's actually, on a good day, it's 55 minutes. So when I am attending my meetings in London, I'm normally getting home before the local Londoners are. So a lot of my clients are there as well. So I don't know, the minute we get into St. Pancras, it feels like I walk a bit taller and
yeah.
a bit, you just rub your hands together and think this is business time. So I love it. But again, I would love to be there more often.
Yeah. I've had one of those weeks, in fact, a month so far. It's just been so relentlessly busy, and not all for good reasons. We've got in our industry, the same as the car industry and so many others, supply chain issues and so on and so forth, which is coinciding with an absolute explosion in wedding bookings, because this year is going to be the biggest year for weddings since 1980 something. I think there's like 3 or 4 times the number of weddings booked. And then obviously clients who are coming back to the workplace have done the smart casual thing, so they're fed up and basically wanting to make life easy and maybe go back to wearing a suit and a shirt. And then people are going to events, people are wanting to dress up more because it's kind of trying to move away from having been in pajamas for the best part of 2 years. And I don't think our industry was ready for that sudden rebound in demand, especially with everything that's going on in the world at the moment. What it's translated to for us is I'm just exhausted, like absolutely exhausted, to the point where yesterday I was literally just ready. I thought I was going to drop dead. Like, I literally felt like I had a cloud on my brain, and I was like, I can't do this now, really. I just need to shut off. but then I had a Founders Club event in the evening, and it was one of the meet and greets, which is where we first met a few months ago.
Yeah.
And the moment I stepped foot in, it was at Monkey House? Monkey Nuts? I want to say Monkey Nuts. No, Monkey House in Mayfair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I live a sheltered life. But the moment I stepped foot in the door and I saw a good dozen or so people that I got to know quite well over the last couple of months, all the physical hardship I was feeling just vanished. And like the amount of energy that surged through me, and I've just been on a high ever since.
Don't you think that's to do with the core things of what you love? Because it's all good being the salesman or the technicians of running a business, but more of the business owners, when they walk into a network event or a room filled with like-minded people, it's like the shackles are off again when you've done 12 hours of work, let's say, but you've still got that energy left in your tank to kind of say, right, we're back to 0 and we're going to go up to 10 again. But I totally get where you're coming from, but it's a core thing of a business owner, and yeah, that's why we go to these events.
Yeah, totally. I'd never really done them before. I made a resolution at the end of last year to actually, because I get up over my career, I've been asked to network events time and time again on a weekly basis, and I've always said no because naturally felt I'm quite introverted and don't like going into all these sort of big spaces. A lot of our listeners right now will be rolling their eyes because like they've heard this story so many times.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I just made this resolution at the end of last year because I was like, do you know what? If I want to take the business to the next level, I've got to start connecting with people. And tried a few things out. Obviously joined Founders just before Christmas, and where I met you that was my first event, that meet and greet.
Okay.
But ever since, it's like I found this extended family. It helps that most of us are Asian. That it's like this extended family that I didn't know that I had.
Yeah. And
suddenly I've just discovered all of you.
Yeah.
And there's no egos. There's so many successful people. I look up to so many of you, you included. And because I still feel like I'm at the start of my business journey. But there's no egos whatsoever, and everybody wants to help each other. And for me, we were at Simon Alexander Ong's book launch last Thursday evening, and his book is Energize. And everybody listening, it's available on Audible, Amazon. You can go buy it wherever you like to get your book. Simon Alexander Ong's Energize. I highly recommend it. But we were at Simon's launch, and Simon was talking about, one of the best things that you can do is surround yourself with people who elevate you, who energize you, who are your biggest cheerleaders, whether you're doing well, but also equally when things aren't going so great, which as an entrepreneur, we go through that all the time. So, if I take you back to let's take you back a bit earlier. So 21, you start in business. Where did you start? Was it in the area of marketing, or were you doing something else completely different?
No, I was failing at university, and it was that moment that came. Like I was going to university for the wrong reasons. Was at Sheffield, then I did 1 year in Nottingham, and in that year in Nottingham, I don't even think I went to any lectures or anything. My whole thing it wasn't about education, about just having fun and stuff. So it came to a point where I had to have a conversation with my mum and say, look, the dream that I said, my whole thing was I wanted to be a surveyor, live in London, live that life, have a nice suit, have a nice watch, go on a Thursday for a drink. And that, there was no such thing. There was no entrepreneurial blood in me or anything like that. So my whole business journey started from where at 20, well, a bit younger than that, but my mum had a letting agency. Well, she just started it a few months before I kind of made that massive announcement. And it was a case where she said, look, we've tried now. Why don't you find a job? And just about 6 months before I was going to say this to her, she was not as computer literate as me. So when she launched her letting agency, there was a thing called Property Finder, which is now Zoopla, and she had to upload her properties. And unknown to that, I said, "Yeah, I can do that in 5 minutes." So whilst I was in Sheffield, I used to take a USB stick and upload all the properties in the library, and I could see the stats. So like, I was ringing my mum and saying, "Mum, this property, it's doing so well. Let's change the pictures." So I was ringing her every day pretty much, and on the weekends just sorting her office out and stuff. Now, roll back 6 months. Go forward 6 months. I decided to quit university, and she said, "Right, well, we're not going to tell Dad because I'm an Indian boy that's not going to come out with a degree," which was a big thing for me. So I was like, "What are people going to say?" I only started telling people 5 years afterwards that I quit uni. I'm quite open to it now, but I think it's because I've had the success now. I feel confident with it. So
yeah.
So we were at that stage, and my mum bought a terrace property, and we converted the front room into a 2-table office with 2 computers and a very loud printer. And we started off with one property, and things quickly started to roll because we didn't come from a business background. I mean, my mum did, but I can get into that. But we didn't go to a mastermind or learning about letting agency. We just did it, trial and error. And the best thing about that was people thought we're transparent, we're honest, and you know what, let's give them a chance. So from that, we did it for 13 years. And in 2018, we decided to sell up at a decent property management company. So I can't say that, yes, it's always been in my blood. I was accidental entrepreneur. It's a very cliche word to use at the minute, but during that time, I met a lot of property stroke business owners, and they were all over 55, 60. So my friend circle was starting to become older. Not my core, but the people I used to socialize with were my dad's age. Yeah. And a lot of, I'd say at least 10 of them took a liking to me and just teaching me the ropes of, this is what we're looking for from an agent. This is how I made my money. And then every day I was like, right, we've got to do this. We've got to do that. So that just gave me the kind of oomph. And more importantly, it was a case where I need to have my own business. I don't think I can ever work for anybody. That happened because whilst my mum launched her business, she couldn't pay me. So I was doing 5 till 10 at British Gas in a call center. And I had a lovely manager there, and she got that I'm not a worker and I have my own business. So she said, right, you're getting too many calls from 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock because I used to forward the calls to me whilst I was in this call center. So she gave me like a delegated area. So I was like doing data entry because I just needed some money and taking calls in British Gas. I shouldn't really say that. But then I was doing my business there. And it came to a point where I said, right, let's go all in. Because the only thing that was holding me back was finance. I mean, I knew I've got it in me. And then once I took I said to them, look, I'm not going to work here. I need to spend time with that. And kind of that's where everything went crazy for us. During that time, we became, we won the Estes Awards, which are a very good accolade. And we were probably 10 years ago now. And we won it for the whole of the East Midlands. So that's a mother and son partnership. The best thing is we've had friends and my family work for the business. So it was a very good, starting from nothing to selling it in 2018 was a massive deal for our family.
Yeah. Wow. But, it's really interesting because you said it, well, firstly, the quitting uni thing, I totally get that because, you probably lasted longer than me. I went to Brunel where Sonny went.
Yeah.
And although I'm same age as KP, because KP and I grew up together, we were in the same year at primary and infant school. But I got to Brunel and I lasted. It can't have been more than 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 weeks, and I was already working. Sorry, go on.
It sounds even more horrible because I wasted more money than you on student loans. Doing it for 3 years.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't even get to the point of taking out a loan because I was all behind in that sort of process. So I kind of started, and then 3 weeks in, what happened was I'd previously a year ago been for an assessment to study SEMA with Ford Motor Company.
Okay.
And to become a management accountant. Because I always had this fight with my parents that there was always this pull-push because I'm obviously naturally more creative, but they, being typical Asian parents, wanted me to become a accountant, doctor, one of them. And, I just didn't really have that passion at all. When I started at college, I went in doing English lit, maths with statistics, French, and probably business studies or something. I can't remember what the other one was, or it might have been computer science. And literally month by month, I was then going to the head of faculty or whatever and saying, I want to drop out of this and I want to switch, I want to drop maths. Or, okay, what do you want to switch to? Because you still got to do 4 A-levels because that's what you signed up for. And I was like, well, I want to do drama and theatre arts. And it's like, I want to drop English lit. Well, what do you want to drop English lit for? I want to do English language. And then I want to drop the other thing. Is what do you want to drop it for? I want to do art and design. So I basically started at college, got my parents to sign off on everything because I was doing all of the subjects that would lead me to where they wanted me to go.
And completely switched.
And then gradually, month by month, because I just kept bouncing back to what was instinctively inside me. And, my parents' other preferred option, because my dad basically ran his own business. So he was in carpets and furniture and stuff. But I kind of wasn't really interested in that either. But anyway, so I dropped out of uni within 2 weeks because I'd been for this kind of assessment for Ford to do SEMA to study management accountancy. So it was my last shot at doing something that would make my parents happy. And I managed to get that place out of, I don't know how many, probably 1,000 people that applied. There were only 10 places and I got in. But then I only lasted 6 months there because you know what happened? I was speaking to my supervisor and he was probably in his late 50s, early 60s. And I said to him, have you never wanted to kind of move up and become, like a director or senior boss or whatever? And he said, no. He said, I'm really happy. I've been here 27 years. I've been at this desk. I've had this great view. Great view. It was in the middle of Basildon, overlooking the train station, the car park, and some Weatherspoons pub, right? And I just looked at him and I thought, nah, that is no. That is not for me. And so I quit. And then I tried to get a job in tailoring, but Savile Row weren't really interested in people that looked like me and you at that time. And so then I managed to get a job with an IT company in Wembley. So I did that for 4 years. And then that fell apart. Well, the company fell apart. And then I took some time off. And then eventually I got a break with a big visiting tailoring firm that had come over from America and were sort of growing in Europe. Did 7 years there. 2 years out of it, you started a small boutique tailors in the city behind the Bank of England. We're here to talk about your story, not mine. I've just realised what I've just done. And then, but I've had this. I had this chip on my shoulder about not having a degree for a very long time, up until probably recently, actually.
No, but because why did you have a chip though, or was it mainly a thing where if no one else was here, would you really care, or what was it about? Because I'll tell you my side of it as well. Yeah,
I think for me it was partly regret. Because I kind of regret that I did miss out on university life. And part of it is that, a lot of my friends have got degrees and I just kind of felt that I'm not the sort of person that really quits on things or people. And that is the one thing in my life that I have quit on. And so that really grates with me. But then when I equate, having a degree with success, I then look at a lot of my friends, and I'm really sorry to any of them that are listening right now, and I think that I've done actually pretty effing well.
Yeah,
Just in spite of not having gone through the entire education system.
yeah. I was away last week with two of my close friends, and we were having a conversation of we just said, look, what are these issues, and what about changing circles and growth, because that's all what everyone talks about, and that's what one of the things were. And their kind of thing was, it's crazy to see where you are now, to where what you are, and what, like, if you ask anyone that not seen me for, let's say, 15 to 20 years, they'd be like, I can't believe where you are. But it's all a case where, you can't. I try to say to people, family and friends, is the grass is greener when it comes to entrepreneurship, business owner, because you're dictating your time in life. But there's so many people that are not from the same cloth as us. So that teacher at university, and he's happy with looking at that view in Basildon. There's so many other people where you're trying to fly the flag of, here, this is what you can do. These are the tax savings of a business owner, and blah, blah, blah. And so one time, I think it was my sister, said, she said, you do know that not everybody wants to be like you, or the path that you're choosing. And my stance on that was, I'm just trying to say that this 9 till 5 it has a glass ceiling, and you're wrapped up in there. If you get to see something, it will make you work to that. And then I've kind of pretty much stopped, and I'm being quite cautious of how I speak to in different rooms, because sometimes you might come across as arrogant, where I think when you come to a stage and you've been in business for nearly more than 15 years, you come to a stage where you want to help people, and not that I think I'm starting off as well. I'm always, you're always learning from, and I'm learning from other people, not, I'm not a bookworm or anything like that. But yeah, certain people, and when I'm in certain rooms, we're always kind of saying, this is the way forward, and if you like it, we need to have a 1 hour conversation and see how we can both grow together. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's the way we talk with entrepreneurs and business owners. It's, some people may not get it, and some people may not want to take that path. But I just find it hard for people not to see that.
There's one thing that I do hold on to, actually. I was at a dinner, and it was in Belsize Park, and there were probably about 7 or 8 people at the table, and they were a mix of barristers, bankers, all of those professions that, supposedly you and I should have gone into. And I was feeling a little bit kind of, flipping hell, I shouldn't even be here. What the hell am I doing at a table, like, an evening soiree with these people? Because they're up here and I'm kind of down here, right? And I can't remember exactly how it got into the conversation, but I blurted out, obviously, that I was kind of feeling a little bit, what's the word? Not intimidated, but like, I'm in awe of that was it. And I was like, I'm just in awe of all you people, because, you've got degrees, some of you have got masters, you're doing amazing jobs. And one of the girls who was a barrister, she turned around and she said, listen, it's the opposite. We're in awe of you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, we all went down the education paths we went down to get into these careers for safety and security, because we're not risk takers. We're in awe of people like you, because you're a risk taker. You're flying by the seat of your pants every single day, and you're successful. It could all collapse at any moment. For us, it doesn't matter what the economy's doing, up, down, left, right, all of that stuff. People are always going to need lawyers. They're always going to need accountants and so on. And that is why we got into those jobs. But people like you are risk takers. And we are in awe of you because of that. And so whenever I am, because, that self-doubt starts to creep in or whatever. And then, because my wife is super smart. She's a chartered accountant. Well, she works with me now, so maybe she's not that smart. But I mean, she's still smart. God, if she eventually, when she listens to this, I'm going to get right dupper across the head. But where she, but you know, she's got a master's, right? She completed her degree at the University of Navarra, and then she came to Glasgow University, and then she went and did a master's in economics. So sometimes I'm sat across the dinner table from her thinking I'm not there. But then what I do is I revert back to that evening in Belsize Park a few years ago, and I replay that conversation in my head. And I'm like, do you know what? No, and it's all about self-worth, really, at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you get to a stage where, you do kind of see, oh, am I fitting here? Especially when you're going to different horizons and different network events, you're always thinking, is there, well, a real good thing that I kind of do is I think that if I'm thinking it, someone else is thinking it, then I feel like there's a couple of people behind me. So that gives me the encouragement, the more confidence. And like today, I was at an event and they were all kind of very, high net worth property people. And I didn't want to go in my blazer and my shoes and the watch and that kind of thing because I wanted to come in as a marketing guy. And I don't wear that anymore. As in, I saved myself for a very good occasion now. And I looked at myself and I thought, I've got some nice trainers on, but they don't look like the property side of things. But I thought, I'm so instilled in that, I just don't care now. This is me, to take it how it is. And I'm very much like that now, kind of the walk into the room and think, right, this is mine, and let's see what happens from there.
Yeah, well, you've got to, I mean, that's part of your brand, really, isn't it? And you've got to own it. I mean, Simon last week, he became known for black t-shirt, jeans, and his Adidas Sambas or Gazelles or whatever it is that he wears. And that's him. So whenever you see him on anything, whether it's television, podcasts that have got visuals, when you see him in any publicity shoots and so on, and when he was at that launch and every other launch, because he's been doing a lot of... he's on a whole PR sort of run for the launch of this book, but he always shows up in the black t-shirt, the jeans, and the Gazelles, and that's his thing. For me, it's people will think there's something wrong with me or I've fallen on hard times if I don't walk into a room in a 3-piece suit.
The minute I met you, I think someone did an intro when we were in Mayfair, and I kind of said to you, didn't I? I said you must be in tailoring because the way you came across and your suit was on point. I was like, right. And then you said, yeah, 100%. And I think that was a good recommendation to a good tailor.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and I was getting that last night because I was wearing a new outfit, and it had been on the bench in the morning. And I said to my guys, I said, listen, I've got an event tonight. Like, that needs to be finished because I'm wearing it tonight. And literally the minute I walked in, all the girls were sort of straight up, like feeling the fabric and complimenting it, and the guys were looking at the lining and so on. And it's there's this split personality I have, because there's the what I think is the real me, which is the sort of introvert and don't talk to me, and like I just want to be in a corner of a room, and I don't know what to say to all of you people because you're all amazing and whatever. But then there's this other beast, right, that's now starting to get unleashed, and the confidence is kind of growing. And the other side of me is yeah, man, do you know what? I'm bringing it. Like, I'm baller, well, you know what I mean? And it's like KP. It's like there's one photo he saw of me on Saturday night, and he's like, swagger.
Yeah. It does... It does get the chemical flowing when you're wearing something really nice. I mean, I'm going to have a conversation with you after this anyway about some of the events this year, and I've got some interesting places to be. And yeah, when I don't wear it, because remember I was a very, very kind of in bracket estate agent. I used to make the suits, the nice lapels, initials inside. Jaeger couture watch, that kind of, I was living that. And there are some days where I think, God, I want that suit on, the crisp shirt, and driving a nice car. I mean, it is, I'm going to be honest and say, there's materialistic things I still love. And some of the events that I'm going to be attending, I want to, bring it.
Yeah, it's really funny because one of our fellow founders, Mitt, he came into the workroom last week, and he was like, "Do you know what?" I said to him, "So what do we want to start with?" And he's like, "Do you know what? It's like all my seats have been like dark navies, blacks, charcoal." He's like, "Do you know what? I want people to notice. So I want to go all out. I want to go crazy. Like, what can we do?" And I was like, "Right, okay, let's go. We're gonna, we're gonna bring some swagger. We're gonna bring it." A couple of other guys had similar conversations last night because I think people are realizing, especially in this world where kind of things have gone a little bit more casual generally as we pull out of the pandemic and so on. When we do get the chance to kind of go out and stuff, you almost need casual clothing was a way for people to express their natural personality. And what some people are telling me, especially in the business environment, is because now everyone's kind of dressing sort of down, as it were. I don't mean down in a derogatory way. Some of you listening out there, I do mean it in a derogatory way. I mean, seriously, some of you guys need to sort yourselves out. But some people are coming to me and they're saying, "Listen, I'm in an environment where everybody's dressed down. I want to stand out. And I want to be noticed. And I want people looking at me saying, that's the guy I want working for me. He looks like he knows what he's doing, right? He looks like he's got his together." And, there's something to be said for that. And then other people, they are starting to have conversations with me about, extending or enhancing their personality. So again, for me, it is all about, I'm not really the kind of person to walk into a noisy club and start introducing myself to people. Part of the reason, and any other founders listening right now you find out what it is. I'm nodding my head at you vigorously because I can't hear a damn word you're saying. And that knocks my confidence a little bit as well. But if I'm standing there in a light grey, white and pink massive lapel blazer with the waistcoat, open neck shirt, burgundy trousers and grey shoes, and you lot are looking at me thinking, "Wow, he looks absolutely baller," and you're coming over to me, that's great because you're saving me the embarrassment of having to come over to you. And that's what, for me, it's all about. For people, it's kind of different. But that's why I do what I do, because I love trying to work out what people want to achieve and so on. Which brings me on to Metric Connect. So did you work with your beautiful wife, Christina? Did you start the company together, or because I know she was at Salesforce before for quite some time. So was she already working and then she joined you afterwards?
Yeah, she joined me afterwards. So after we sold our estate agency, I had an 18-month career break because I wasn't sure exactly where it was heading. The whole thing was I was going to become, property development. So I do have another property development business. Now, when I chose the fact that let's get into digital marketing, social media space, she was actually still working for another company, but she was the kind of Salesforce aspect to that business. Now, There was a conversation. What happened was that I've always said, family business, step in, if you like. And it was always a case with my wife. She's like, no, we need a steady income, and you to be the risk taker. So we're probabilities are brilliant. And she's a very, very strong lady. And massively. And I kind of say nothing can break her. And what happened was she said, I just don't like working here. It was a new place. So, she was there after we had our second child. And every time I'm getting a WhatsApp saying, these guys, they're not treating me well. And she's not one to kind of talk behind anyone's back. A very nice person. So I was like, I'm thinking as a husband, do not talk to my wife like that. Or, I was on my laptop at home getting more frustrated than what she's going through down there. And I kind of, every week we're having a conversation I said, if you can bring the element of taking the kids to school, I will guarantee I'll make more money, or I will be on par with your salary. And she said, no way, you can't do that. So I said, I'll prove it the minute you hand in your notice. because my day was, I've sold a decent business, I've got property development happening, but I was still having my own time because I delegated the property side of things, the management side of property. So I had my time back to concentrate on Metric Connect. There was a lunchtime, and she said, "I've just handed my notice because they have, she went berserk." And I was thinking, brilliant, because she can do the school run, and I'm going to get to play exactly the way I wanted to, because this, my kids have only got 18-month gap, and they were 3 and 4 at that time.
Right.
So when she joined the business, she was bringing in the CRM aspect, the more operation. She's very organized, and I think we're yin and yang. And I said, if you bring that element in, we'll have a structure rather than, if you look at it, if we had both desks, hers would be perfect, mine would be a mess with everything there, and I'll clear it one day kind of guy. So since then, we the whole of her issue was, we're husband and wife, we're trying to do this, now we're going to be sitting with each other. We didn't even have an office then. And I was thinking, no, it's okay, let it work, because I'm distilled in having a family member, a female, like my mum or my sister, and it's about I need someone to bounce off. So I keep talking, and I need some ears, because some people might think, he's too much, but I just need someone to listen to me. So as of today, this is what she has to listen to, what I do. But the best thing is, there's a nice kind of family business, and we've got 2 staff within the agency. And I got her from having a monthly wage, never being a business owner. Well, she did have a beauty a salon before we were married, but having a business and seeing that, a monthly wage is okay, but do you know the world's an oyster, especially now when it comes to social media marketing? She kind of said to me, are you going to pack it in? Because I wasn't, we were breaking even. And I said, no way. I go, do you not know my vision? So I sat her down for probably a week in the office, and we didn't do any work. So I kind of distilled the information about, in 5 years' time, this is where my agency is going to be. And here's the month, 6 months from there, a year from here, this is how we're going to be employing. Because I did a lot of, had so many mistakes when I had my estate agency. Now coming to look at it, if I was to open another estate agency, I'm so confident I will kill the game off, because what I know now and what I didn't know before. So there's so many issues that I didn't do. A lot of it was delegation, being the authoritative figure in my field in the location that I am. And now I've got a kind of vision. I'm so much into delegation and, being a business owner rather than being self-employed. We forgot that what she's been doing. So sales tickets, automating stuff for the brand. So I once I kind of knew much more of what she did, which was far too late. I kind of said, well, we'll have to pay someone 50, 60K for that. So why don't you implement that? And well, if you have a conversation with her, I don't think you should go back to working. So I did my bit, and it's so much fun. Our business revolves around time with our family now. So it's such a massive thing. And we had late breakfast today. And I always say to her, she always says to me, don't jinx anything when you say it. But I said, well, I'm only having a conversation with you. You're my wife. This doesn't go anywhere. But I said, this is amazing, right? We can do this on a Friday. We're having, a nice breakfast in our village. And that's my kind of success goals. Imagine I had to tell someone that I'm leaving just to see my wife on a normal day. So I can do that whenever I want. And that's it's not the financial stuff that I believe in. It's the thing where if I wanted to, I can pick my kids up, or I get the time where I'll do my emails in the morning, see my kids, and off they go to school. And when my parents, I said to my wife, my dad gave me my key, I think, when I was in year 5 or 6. So I had my own house key just because they me and my elder sister have to go to school. So that was a big thing for me. I think that was a very negative thing because I always talk about it and think about it. So I never wanted to be the dad that leaves before my kids because I want to see them, wish them a good day. And we get to do that. So I'm so happy that where we are as a couple running a business and, a really good business, actually. I'm so proud of a lot of people within the property scene I used to be. They've said, you've just took a right angle. Like, what do you know about marketing? I did a talk with Anglia Ruskin University, and one of the questions the marketing students had was, why would we work for you when you don't know anything about marketing? And I said, because I'm employing people like you, because I don't know anything about marketing. And she kind of thought, okay, I get what he's doing. I do Facebook ads in the business. I don't do content creation. I don't know. I didn't know before about, A/B split testing. These are all technical terms in the marketing world. And I kind of took the bad things from the old business and kind of saying, I'm bringing the best people for content creation, even paid ads, how to go live, what to do on social media, so that I'm running a successful business rather than being the guy that changes the light bulb every day and kind of putting fires out. And don't get me wrong, I still do stuff like that, but it was when I got a question like that and the response I gave, they all automatically thought, okay, he knows what he's doing, and then I feel confident about my business as well. So I'm a preacher for family businesses because I've never had one without one, so it's good.
I was laughing when you started to tell the story of how Christina, she was going through a load of crap at work. I don't think that gets me an explicit rating, that word.
No.
And sorry, the in joke with a lot of people who know me a long time is I've got a real potty mouth. Sorry, dogs in the background as usual. No, I was laughing because there are so many parallels with what you both went through, with what we went through. So I started mine on my own, and Carolina was working for a family office, so she was running the finances for a lot of big property deals that they were doing, buying up places in Oxford Street and things like that. And but they're really, really demanding. She'd be asked to travel to Spain at literally the drop of a hat. The way that they organised her flights was always like her stress levels were just through the roof. And one of the moments that really got me thinking, how can I get my wife out of this? Was she's exactly the same as Christina, right? So she's a master of organization. Everything needs to be clean. She likes labeling things. She loves her plastic pockets and binders and dividers and all that stuff. So when you look at her side of the office, it's all organized, right? Everything's got its place. She knows where to find everything. You look at my side, it is literally, it is like a rocket has hit everything. But in my mind, I kind of know where everything is. But if anyone was to look at it, they'd be like, what the is going on over there? Like, that is just crazy. But it's just kind of the way that I work.
We have days. So I actually don't like working on Fridays. I never have. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah, me neither. I'm the same.
So what I do is, and then our kind of separation when we've had too much time, she comes in the office on a Friday, and when I come back on Monday, it's all tidy. But my problem is, I've left notes that were supposed to go on Trello or something, and I've not done it yet. So I kind of say, where is all my stuff? And she calmly kind of says, oh, this is here because it's supposed to be here, and this is where it is. But yeah, I like a messy table. It looks, when my table's messy, and sometimes I even look back when I close the door in the office, and I know I've had a good day. But some people might not say that.
You look back with pride and fondness.
Exactly.
No, but so what So obviously, what she did is we were going on for Christmas to Soria, her hometown, to be with her side of the family. And Christmas Day, obviously, Christmas Eve, everything Catholics is all such a huge deal out there. And so we had a massive family lunch planned for Christmas Day, and cousins were coming from all over the place, and aunts and uncles and so on, and booked a place out. And before she left London, Carolina, there was a big deal that was going down. So she made sure that everybody that needed to know what was going on, where things were, where the money was, how to pull the trigger on the finances and all the rest of it, she made sure that everybody could function without her. Literally 2 minutes, just as we're outside the venue, that we're having this big family thing. You know what I'm gonna say, right? She gets a phone call from London, and they're like, she's then stood outside for another hour. And bearing in mind, this is a mountainous region of Spain where it is freezing cold in the winter. She's stood outside the poor thing, and she is having to do the very thing she spent so much time before she flew, right, to avoid exactly that.
Was that the trigger point?
You know, as obviously her husband, I was really upset to see that. And so I just said to her, I said, look, the business is like, and then there was a couple more months of this. And then I just said to her, I think it was about 6 months after I started the business. And she was kind of still doing the books at the weekends for me anyway. But I said to her, why don't you just quit that? Because what you're making there, I can pay you that salary, right? Because I'll just grow my sales to cover what you were making. So you might as well just make it with us rather than working for them and just taking all of that BS all the time. And so that's what she did.
Yeah, that's what we did as well. Yeah, and it works so well because sometimes you feel that, well, what am I going to do in the business? But anyone can be anything.
Yeah. And
then if you're segmenting the roles properly and they grow, look, it's not like you're not reinventing the wheel. So yeah, we've got very similar stories there.
Yeah, extremely. But where you've been smarter is where you've got things. See, I'm doing, between the two of us, we do everything, right? So we wear every single hat that you would wear in what effectively is a small, but sort of bigger than a small business, right? Because I know that our accountants, when they've audited us in years gone by, they look at our sales numbers and they're just like, how the hell are you two doing this much and this many transactions? I don't understand how it's just the two of you. Right, it just...
Don't you flip it? Don't you flip it and kind of think that if you let go of time, but you swap the time with growth of the business, see where that can really grow. Now, on my podcast, someone says to me, why do you do podcasts? And I said, to be fair, it was brand exposure. But shall I tell you what? I learn the most because there's one person that's listened to every single minute of my podcast, and that's me. So I'm retaining so much information, and so many people talk about delegation, net worth, good tables to be around with. And I think about a year ago, I don't think I'm the best at it just yet. But even in the last week, we've took on another content creator because we're just trying to level up. But what we're not doing, what we're making sure is if I'm taking 2 hours or 3 hours off that day, someone's took that away from me and I've employed them, those 3 hours have to be swapped by something in my pipeline. Yeah. Because it can easily go on to a lunch or something like that. So it's just accountability between the two. But the more I'm giving out, because we're control freaks, aren't we? No one can do anything better than us.
Totally.
And that's the whole issue. So I now kind of think I'm rubbish at what I'm doing, and there's other people that are kind of teaching me things. So we had a conversation with one of the girls today, and me and Chrissy said she's smashing it, and this is exactly what you wanted. And then imagine you've got the fuel to be confident to kind of say, yeah, my guys can do that. What, turn around in 2 days? Bro, done. So then, you're going on that way. And someone said this to me before, and the difference between an entrepreneur and someone that's self-employed. Someone that's self-employed has like an off license. They do everything themselves. But then when you look at, let's say, a solicitor, they don't call themselves self-employed. They call them entrepreneurs, but they do everything. The admin, the one-man band kind of guy. So it's all about, the migration from self-employed to entrepreneurship, which is I'm on the journey as we speak. It's just learning from others and kind of having that holding hand to say, yeah, do it. It's going to be okay. It's like what we talked about before, being an entrepreneur and a business owner, that show them, because we all need to see that other side, because it's scary every door, we don't know what's going to be behind it. But when someone's opening it with you and they've actually been through that door before, you're more confident in taking that right step forward and a bigger stride. Yeah. So yeah, it's I'd love to have a conversation with you about that on a separate time, about what we're doing right now. And even now we're looking to employ another one person now to do paid ads, because Facebook, okay, the numbers are still great, but LinkedIn has taken a lot of our time up, and we're doing LinkedIn pipelines for financial directors, property investors, national auctioneers, and where we're finding the demographic, the avatar that we're looking for, it just rolls back. Like, even if yourself, let's for example, let's just say that you're looking for the ideal person to wear your brand. I mean, I don't know, but would you want everyone to wear your brand? There's a certain type of figure that, he fits the bill, and that's the persona that my brand is wanting to be. So you can pick and choose when it comes to LinkedIn, and it's. I mean, I'm sounding like a salesman now, but I am when it comes to certain platforms on social media.
Yeah, no, but this is great, because I was going to steer you down into this conversation anyway. I really, really feel like, because also I'm conscious of time for you as well, but I really, really feel like you and I have got more than this episode in us, for sure.
Yeah, I've just looked at it and thinking, I've talked too much, but no.
No, not at all. But I mean, just quickly, just to skip back just a little bit, and then we'll get back onto that. But what you were talking about there, so we are, and really a lot of this has come about since I started hanging out with all you guys, but definitely in recent months, and KP's been instrumental in this as well, in really getting me to think about the DNA of our brand, where we want to go, what is the end game, all of that stuff. And my not the end game, that hasn't crystallized yet for me, but certainly the next 5 years is crystallizing now. And the first step I know, beyond all else, while I'm documenting everything that's going on in my head and all these great plans that I've got and where I want to be, is that I know that I need to buy my time back. Because when I document what I do every single day, and then the next thing I need to do is do the same for Carolina, because she's doing a lot of stuff where she's overqualified to be doing it.
Yeah.
But just on my side alone, I know that hiring an assistant will buy back 70% of my time. Now, what could I do with 70% of my time? Could I double my business? Most likely. Could I start targeting and being a bit more niche with the types of people I go after, which relates to your question a few minutes ago? Do I want everyone wearing my brand? I don't want everybody wearing. I mean, obviously there's a velvet rope for them to cross over in terms of a minimum price and so on, right?
Yeah.
But do I? It's not even so much do I want everyone wearing my brand, it's do I want to be working for every different type of person? And the answer is no. And again, this is a longer conversation you and I will probably have offline. But I can't remember where I'm going with this. But anyway, all of that's sort of going on. But I know that the first step is that I need to let go of stuff, because I am a control freak. You're 100% right. And also I'm accepting of the fact that that I'm never going to get 100% perfection out of anyone. No one's going to be able to do all of these jobs like I can. But if they can do it 70 or 80% as well, that's good enough. Because the 20% that I'm losing, that edge, is worth less than the potential growth that I can get, if that makes sense, by handing that stuff over.
Yeah. Yeah, and even having a kind of pushing forward to, in your brain, kind of think, can I leave that business running for 2 weeks? Can you?
No.
Without you being there? No, exactly. So that's what I started to push. So are all of our clients having all their content done? Are all their reports being automated? So I went on kind of an automation frenzy that we need to eliminate human activity. Most of the human activity should come from the directors because we're there getting there. But then hopefully one day there'll be a sales team to kind of do that for me. And we're kind of walking in, the ideal business is, you have a board meeting and everyone says the right things and everything's la-di-da. But I don't think I could do that because it's not where I want to. I like it hands-on. But the team need to be correct. But yeah, someone told me, can you run your business and you're only on a WhatsApp 2 to 3 days and you're away for 2 weeks? I said, hell no. So that's when I start changing the things. And it works for the better because we can do stuff like this. This is the creative stuff that I like talking about, the history of where I am, because there's so many people that, I'll go for a dinner and someone's like, oh, do you know what? You've done really well for yourself. And I said, well, here, come talk to me for about half an hour. There's I don't need to monetize my time. I just want to see someone else do, say to them, say, you know what, because of you, I'm here. on my Instagram DMs, I get more people trying to get into property than any other thing, and most of them always say that I owe you. But I think so many people 15 to 20 years ago weren't talking to each other and keeping them to themselves, especially within our community as well. Very, very ring-fenced to grow, and now it's flipped on it, and people are giving. I give free content out. And it's simple. My marketing ploy is I give free content out. If you look on my Instagram, you can churn everything out. But then I really want to work with the business owners that want to delegate. Hence why I kind of say, right, this is how to do it. And the best thing about it is social media is such a big machine now. You do it yourself, and you can actually say, okay, I don't mind paying your fees now because that is not what I want to deal with. So they're the type of businesses that we work for, and it works well because there's too many changes within the social media marketing world. Yeah. And for us to be, we're a Facebook business partner. So if we are in the know all the time, so our clients are in the know. If they're in the know, they're beating their competition. They're doing new things. They're the trendsetters. That's where we want to be at.
Yeah. Without getting into the mechanics, because it's like KP that I met with him for 4 hours last week, and he's pulled out because he's looking at my Instagram, and I don't know if you've looked at mine recently, you might have noticed that there's a theme starting to form because we're trying to move it more to sort of, you look at the feed and it's more about lifestyle and what we actually sell rather than just a product on a mannequin, which is what I was doing before, and the odd picture of my cats and dogs.
It's funny you say that, because this is the way I'm changing mine, because I'm using the grid as maybe not a lifestyle, but not to show the here's 4 tips on stuff, but that's my agency brand. But me as a person, I'm coming with property, entrepreneurship, helping you, some marketing. That's what I'm twisting it. So I get it, and you're showing more of your own self, and you're getting more engagement and reach, I bet.
Yeah, a little bit. I think our engagement is just over 1%, which is a bit rubbish. But that's another conversation for you and I to have, because there's something, we've got someone that's kind of managing a lot of the kind of follower growth and so on, and it's meant to be organic in the. I give them accounts of other businesses similar to mine that, I want some of their followers and so on. This is the criteria of person and all of that sort of stuff. But, I think that it kind of happens for the first few days, and then they just shove it into a bot basically and let a bot get on with it. And then you end up getting inundated with people trying to, sell you Forex trading and all of this other freaking spam nonsense. So, I'm going to cut all of that, and I need to have a complete rethink. But you see, when I started that, I didn't know people like you, and I wasn't hanging around with people like the people that we now know. And so you start getting, and also the other thing as well, just going back to your point about starting a podcast, for me, it was a way of, because I couldn't get hold of a lot of my customers during the pandemic. And I just thought, people have got dogs, they're walking them, they are listening to podcasts more than ever before. Maybe the podcast will just give a bit more brand exposure, and it will also just get me in the ears of some of my customers that I can't connect with. And that did work to an extent. But then what I started realizing when I got about 10, 15 episodes in, I am learning so much, because like you, I'm editing the thing from start to finish, and I'm listening to every single minute of it, every second. And I'm just taking copious notes while I'm editing, because I'm just like, this stuff is gold. And you can't buy a lot of the advice that you get just by talking to a lot of the people that you have on your show, right?
No, and the way you talk, or I'm confident in talking now more because my brain's got bigger. As there's more knowledge that's been in there, because you know what you're regurgitating out, but. Yeah, you don't know it, but you're learning so much, and this is so in a better way, where we're having a conversation here. There's people listening to this, but me and you are having a conversation here, and there's things that in your brain that we're thinking, oh, this is what I need to talk to you about, or we need to hook up, and it's those kind of things. And I think a lot of people are listening to podcasts, hence why we're trying to bring that game on. Hopefully I'll get you on, and we can talk about your swagger, and there'll be a lot of people that are interested in that as well.
I'd be honoured, especially as I've just seen Sachin was on the last episode, I think.
Yeah, so I was with
Sachin last night. Sachin's trying to get me out cycling with him on Sunday. And then I was messaging with his wife Nisha on Instagram about some new Thai place that's near my workroom. Because his wife's an absolute superstar. Well, she's he laughs when I say that. Like, I'm such a massive fan of hers. But no, I'd be absolutely honoured, honestly. So one thing I just wanted to ask you before I let you go. So I'll use myself as an example, right? So we've been on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I hate Facebook. LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't get as much love as I know it should. Obviously, Google My Business, which I appreciate, is very important. So I try to put a degree of work into that. But, you can't do everything. And, is there a case to say that brands, not to ask you a leading question, don't actually need to be... Because, a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, they don't want to miss out on anything. So they feel like they need to be everywhere all at once. And I'm now learning I've been on Twitter for 12 years, and it adds nothing really to my life whatsoever. I'm sorry if any of my Twitter followers are listening to this, but from a business point of view, it adds nothing to the business whatsoever.
Let me just tell you straight, I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me, do I need to be on omni-channel? Do I need to be on everything? And is that what you're going to ask me? Yeah, no.
Yeah, basically.
So this is what I concentrate on my own. Instagram and LinkedIn, done. But now I'm going to move on to TikTok, just because the video side of things are going to be moving forward. So now, look at it this way. The way I see B2C clients, so I've got a national food company, and they do home deliveries and stuff. So we do Instagram shopping, leads back onto the website, pretty much done. Then they've got a warehousing, more B2B, selling kind of white labeled desserts and stuff. I'm trying to push to say, hey, we've got LinkedIn, and we can pretty much go to the director. We don't need to ring the office and the reception saying, sorry, he's in a meeting when he's next to her. So we kind of do a more organic, authentic approach to business owners, and that's working. But what I would kind of advise people on any field you have, try them. Try the first 4 or whatever it is. But you've got to make sure, and this is fundamental to say, are you putting video content out there? Because everything needs to look like the ratio of a phone, a smartphone. And if it's not Reels or TikTok, your organic growth won't happen, just because more eyes are going to be viewed on video form. And the way TikTok algorithm is working, and how we can switch back onto your Instagram profile, It's massive. Why do you think Facebook have now introduced Reels? LinkedIn Live is such a organic response, and people are listening to it. It can be then repurposed into a podcast, into a reel, into there's so much things to do. But going back to your question, I would concentrate on two as a core, and then have a bit of fun with the other one. But you don't.
Yeah.
If you're putting on every 5-6 channels or whatever it is, you're running yourself thin. I use Twitter to listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
And Instagram is always going to be. They're changing so much things. I mean, there's creators that can charge for a live now. So when they're going on live, they can actually charge people to listen to them. So if someone is giving a talk out instead of a Zoom call, we're all going to be paying on Instagram. They've just launched this new NFT. They're taking it into the NFT direction. So Ethereum, people are going to need to start buying that to make sure they got enough credit on Instagram. So that's the way the world's going in terms of social media. The businesses that are actually consistent with posting, being creative, having their thumbs used to where everything is, they're the ones that are going to learn the most.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing it, you've got to be doing it just because. If I talked to you 6 months ago, all of that was different. Yeah. But it's just you've got to be changing with the trends when it comes to social media.
Totally. I mean, literally only 10 days ago, I'm sitting with KP side by side in Mayfair, and he's looking at my phone, and he's like none of these square pictures anymore. Like, it's not about square pictures now. It's about like the longest 16:9 whatever format it is portrait picture you can take. Because look at the size of your phone, right? And you need that picture covering as much of that user screen as possible. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I totally get he's right, and I've obviously started taking my pictures in a different way. But then I knew this whole video thing was going to creep up on me. We're actually, because we're refurbishing our stupid house, and it's been going on forever. But I've already convinced Carolina to give me one of the front bedrooms, because we don't need all of them. And that sounded really pretentious. There's only 4. But I've convinced her to give me one of the front bedrooms. So I'm going to soundproof it, put all of the stuff that you need up in there, set a camera up permanently.
That's exactly what you need.
Also, and have the podcast thing set up permanently as well, so that, when I'm recording, I can be videoing. And then also, when I'm getting dressed in the morning, I can just be getting dressed in front of the camera. And then obviously just chop and edit that up afterwards to start doing all these funny reels and stuff like that.
Because the engagement rates are so high there, you're missing out on a trick. And the static grid, the grid on Instagram should be a showcase of what you're all about. The behind the scenes, even putting that on a story, is where people want to do. They want to make a relevant score higher than what it is right now. So if no one's heard of you before, they want to think, okay, this guy does this. He maybe lives in this area. He goes to, the hobbies are here, and you've shown that. And they said, oh, do you know what? I've seen you on Instagram, and I like the way you roll. That's the way I've met a lot of people. And then the synergy is always there, because you don't have to be the sales guy, because it's a done deal.
Yeah. Instagram's been a bit of an evolution for me, because it started off as an alternative to Facebook, because I was getting sick of Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the same for a lot of our peer group as well. And then I thought, do you know what? Instagram, fine. I don't need to really comment on other people's stuff and getting involved in political arguments and all that sort of thing. I'll just post pictures of the cats, the dogs, what's going on in our lives when we go on holiday, so our friends know what we're up to. And, if they want to get in touch, fine. Otherwise, that's it. And then obviously it started to become almost like a catalogue, like a product catalogue for the brand. Because I'd get clients suddenly saying, you posted a jacket on there the other day. I want that.
And then you think you want to post more now because I'm getting that response, right?
Yeah. But so then it went from product catalog, and then I started to get involved with founders. And what I've found with all of us is we use Instagram messaging more than we use WhatsApp and iMessage and stuff. It's like we're all messaging each other on flipping Instagram, right? So I've had to get used to checking Instagram messages.
As an email inbox now.
Yeah, exactly. but it's actually for founders and everyone just kind of outside the atmosphere of that, and people who are kind of like that. I'm starting to find it's one purpose for Instagram is community building. Yeah. Because now my cheerleaders are our fellow members, my customers, and so on, that only make up a small percentage, really, of the supposed 4,500 followers we've got now. And then obviously all this lifestyle stuff, and then starting to bring the photography and the video into it is then going to take it to sort of this next level where it needs to be. But it's fascinating. Yeah. How do you keep up with all of this stuff?
The updates?
Yeah. Oh no, hang on. I know how you keep up. You just got really good people around you.
Yeah, so we listen to the right channels. But the good thing is we spend a lot of money with Facebook, and that's Instagram, WhatsApp, everything. So we get to go on seminars that the public don't. And there's certain people on Instagram that you can, you listen to, and you can get the information pretty quick. But there's no here's a conference and they're going to find out. It's not like Apple and, when they launch something, it's not because it's ever changing, but it's just the right channels. A lot of people are on my following because whatever, or Metric Connect, whatever changes are happening, we're putting it out there first, regardless if you're a client or not. We've just got to make sure that we're the leaders in our field. So we're going to be consistent. Our newsletter gives information out so that, people are aware of what's going on. Because the broader picture is if you see us at the pretty much leading the forefront in social media when it comes to, most of our clients are mainly property and construction. If they are seeing that we're leading the way, and I got a good recommendation the other day that they're saying, we've seen that on yours and our agency's not told us that. I said, well, you're with the wrong agency. You need to come to us so we can tell you the right thing. So that was a good thing. But yeah, it's a case where being in the know and doing things like this as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. Do you know, I'm sadly gonna just bring our conversation data to a close.
No problem.
But I want you to come back.
I would love to come back. I don't
think had enough fun today to want to come back.
Yeah, 100%. I instead of talking about my lifestyle, even if you want to just talk about social media, I'm happy to talk about anything as long as we're in the same kind of wavelength and frequency. The message is always correct.
I think we are. I think these stories are really important. So as much as you coming on and giving practical tips, all that kind of stuff, I think what people need to do is they need to go to your Instagram page and the resources on your website, and they need to subscribe to your podcast as well. So let me ask the proverbial question: where can people find you online?
Yeah, brilliant. So my go-to thing is Instagram, and my handle is Atish Parmar. I'm on every single social media platform, so as you can imagine. And if you're on Spotify, our podcast is the Social Connection podcast, where we bring 3 elements of business, entrepreneurship, and social media. But yeah, do connect with me, and I'm always sharing our business stories, so that now that my Instagram is changing, Metric Connect, which is on Instagram, will always be giving free content out, tips out, any new changes. So yeah, what I just talked about 5 minutes ago, we're the go-to guys when it comes to social media. So we want more people to reap the benefits of kind of free content information given out there. But I really appreciate you, me being a guest on your podcast, and I'll be happy to share it so the people that have not heard my story can do. And yeah, I don't even think we scratched the surface, but yeah, that means it's a good friendship waiting to happen.
Exactly. No, absolutely, totally. And everyone listening, I will have all of Atish's links in the show notes for you. And obviously, if you do want to get in touch or you've got any questions, I'm sure Atish will be happy to answer them. You can also email Atish and Christina at hello@metricconnect.co.uk. Bro, thank you so much. Really, I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to see you in person as well. I know we're going to have an offline conversation. But yeah, no, thank you really. You've been absolutely amazing today. And it's just been so inspiring and heartwarming, and also reassuring as well, just to see so many of the parallels that you and I have had in our own journeys. And that highlights the value of us sharing our stories like this, because hopefully there'll be people listening to this that, you know, will be having some of the same doubts and fears and going through some of the same trials and tribulations that we've both been through. And they'll be able to take something away from this. So thank you so much for sharing. I really, really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.
No, brilliant. And thank you all for joining Atish and I on this episode. Don't forget that Tailoring Talk is now on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Podcast. I'm not sure if that's the right platform for it, but Atish and I will be talking about that. You know I love feedback, so you can also email the show directly at tailoringtalkpodcast@gmail.com. As I said at the top of the show, please remember to subscribe, rate and review. You can also click the share button in your player to send the show on to people you know. The James Bondathon is rumbling on, and the Big Thunderball review will be available for your listening pleasure next week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And if you'd like to join me on the show, get in touch and let's make it happen. Richard Gore has got in there for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and Kevin Foster, thank you for volunteering for probably all of the Roger Moore movies. And I know Atif Ghaffar is going to be back on Tailoring Talk for sure for Moonraker, because nobody else wanted to do that one. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.